Did you make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Us too.
Yeah. 6.
It'd be nice to beat you.
Yeah. If we meet at the end, I'll be happy. That'll be nice. We're in a different division, so we can't fight each other till the end.
Yeah.
Last round.
Uh-huh.
It'll be a nice Canadian matchup.
It'll be a good game.
Yeah.
Games are getting better every day. Yeah. We have this new player that gets their.
Welcome, folks. Chumash and Rashi, Parshas Shemini, a repeat performance. We are in the second reading. We're in chapter 9, verse 17. We continue with, this is Inauguration Day. You have it, Inauguration Day, yes. Yeah, you have it there? Yeah. The Kohanim are being inaugurated.
The president.
Yeah, we have to do our section.
Page 700.
I still don't understand how they did it. I tried to count.
Page 7, 1 second.
And they came back in.
728. 728. Got it? Okay, give me a moment while we let in some people here.
Vayikra, chapter 9.
Okay. Whoops.
Leviticus. Yeah, that's puzzles me.
All right. Okay, let's get right to it. Okay. So, the Yakrev, and he brought near, it's a mincha, the meal offering, the grain offering, the male kappa mimenu, and he filled his palm, kappa is his palm, mimenu from it, the yaktir al hamizbeach, and he burnt it on the altar, milvad elas habayker. This is after or upon, the word milvad, besides the elas habayker, the ascent offering of the morning. So we're talking about here, just to make sure we got the context properly. These are the offerings that are being brought on the first day of Nisan. The first day of Nisan, that is inaugurating the sanctuary, and the altar specifically, the outer altar, after it's being built, the Mishkan, right? And it's inaugurating the Kohanim, Aaron to be the high priest, and his sons to be the Kohanim, the priests. Okay, so the verse says, "V'yamalik kappa," he filled his hand. He commits us. He says, what does that mean? That's the scooping of the 3 fingers, right? And when you took take for the grain offering, you take the 3 fingers, right? And like this, you would shave off the sides, and that would be what you would put on the altar. Milvad elas habayker, aside from the oil offering in the morning, kol eila asa, all of these were done after elas hatamid, after the continual oil offering of the morning. All right. As we learned this already, that the first thing in the morning was the oil offering, right? That is the communal offering that's brought daily, right? The korbanos that we say like in the morning, right? Okay, that's verse 17. Now we go to verse 18. The Yishchat is Hashor. Then he slaughtered the ox, the bull, Vesa Ayel, and the ram, Zevach HaShlomim, which is an offering, Shlomim, peace offering, Asher La'am, for the sake of the people, of the nation, for the sake of the people. Vayamtziu b'nei Aaron is Adam, and the sons of Aaron, they would present. Yamtziu means like matzah, they found, meaning they presented, right? They found the sons of Aaron, the blood, elav, upon it. right? Or actually to him rather. And he would dash the blood on the altar, encircling it.
Finger or directly?
Huh?
Finger or directly?
Good question. It seems to me that it's from,
They mentioned finger, I think, if it was a finger.
yeah. Usually it's from the vessel.
Yeah.
Right, from the vessel.
Because that's dashed, it would be assumed that it would be from the vessel.
Yeah.
Dashes it.
Right.
On the altar.
Yeah. Because that's how you, right, because, well, I mean, it could be also with the finger, so you're going like that, you're dashing it that way too, I think. Sometimes, you know what, we have to look at the very exactingness of the word. So sometimes it'd be you would put it on, and sometimes you would dash it even with the finger, if I recall correctly. But here, I'm pretty certain it means from the vessel itself, because like David said, it doesn't drench in the finger, which usually it does, right? Usually it would. Okay. Ve'es hachalavim, and the fats. Chalavim is fats. Mina shor, from the bull, or mina ayal, and from the ram. Ha'alya, and the tail from the ram. Ha'mechase, the ha'mechase, and that which covers over the innards. It doesn't say the innards, but it refers to the innards. Is actually Rashi says, because the word mechase means just to cover. It doesn't say what it's covering, right? Rashi will add that, so we'll have a full understanding about kloyos, the kidneys, by yeserus, and the diaphragm, hakaved, with the liver. Rashi, hamechase. So Rashi says mechase. What does it mean? It's covering. Covering what? Because then say what? Chelav mechase sakerib, the fats that are covering the innards. Right. Now, what do you do with all of that? So he says, "V'yasim v'sachalavim." Take, you should place, right? So, simu comes from the word sam, to place. They place the fats ala chazes, on the breasts. Yaktir achalavim amizbechan. They would burn the fats on the altar. Rashi in 20. They place the fats on the breast. This is after the waving of it. So the kohen who waved the fats and the breasts would give it to another kohen, that kohen would put it on the altar to make it smoke up on the altar. Therefore, you have the upper ones that were previously on top that now are on below. This is we already learned this part previously, so it's now just adding to it. Right, so what we have over here is the fact that it's given to another kohen. Let's see, how do you know that it's given to another kohen? It doesn't say there. How would you know that? Any thoughts on that? What? Doesn't say you're giving it to another, but it says, but it's plural form, the yasimu, and they placed. If it was in one kohen's hand, why it would be he placed? Why is it plural? So the implication is that it was passed on to another kohen. Got it? 21. So the chazes, the breast, vesashoik, and the right hind mid leg, hayamin, which is the right one. Heinif Arain, he waved it. Tnufa lifnei Hashem, a wave offering before God. Kasher siva Moshe, as Moshe had commanded, which we already had that earlier in the previous Torah portion.
Heavy, no?
Huh?
Heavy. The leg and the breast must be heavy.
Yeah, probably a little heavy. Yeah, you're right. They were strong men. They had to be. Yeah, definitely, because we're talking about, it's both it's, from a bull, it's, it can't be that, gotta be
Junk.
I'm curious to know how much it weighed actually, be interesting to know.
Google it.
Better, chat GPT. Well, you'll get more, yeah, anyway, okay, later. Vesa, okay, that's 21. 22, Visa Aaron is Yadav, and Aaron lifted up his hands, Ela'am, to the people. So, V'yivarchem, he picked up his hands and he blessed them. Vayered ma'aseh chatos, and he stepped down, he went down from doing the chatos, the sin offering, va'ela v'ashlamim, and the ascent offering and the peace offering. So, because we learned this earlier already, so now he's just doing it. We learned earlier that the bull is the sin offering, right? If I recall, or was it the, you know what? My gosh. Good thing we learned this over and over. Hold on. And let's see Rashi.
That's your sin offering.
Yeah.
After having offered a sin.
So now he did all of the offerings and he blessed the people. So Rashi says, V'yivarchem, he blessed them. What did he bless them with? Doesn't say. Birchas Kahanim, he says. Oh, the priestly blessings. Yivrechecha, Yair, Yisa. There's a sikh on the Rebbe that I remember learning it, I think, a year or two ago, asking, how does Rashi know that it's priestly blessings? What's the proof? And if it's a priestly blessings, why does he have to put the first word of each one? We know what it is. Why does he have to tell us from the Talmud, Saita? Why do we need to know that for, the source for it? Because it's not based on the source, it's based on the simple meaning of the text, right?
Supposedly.
I don't remember the answer to these questions.
But thanks for bringing it up.
But maybe, well, let's see what our time schedule is. We're almost finished, and we might be able to. Okay. Next, Rashi v'yered mi'ala mizbeach, from atop the altar. That's where he went down from, because that's where he did the offerings. So he came down from there. Right. Okay. Next, v'yavay Moshe v'Aaron el oyam mayit. So he blessed them. Now, and he, look at this, and he, v'yavay means he came, right? It's not plural. But then it says Moshe v'Aaron el oyam mayit, right?
Mhm.
That to the oyam mayit and to the tent of meeting, the yetsu. So they went in singular, but yetsu was plural. And they came out, v'yivarchu, and they blessed the people. V'yerach v'yid Hashem al kol ha'am. And it was seen the glory of God upon the entire people. So this is now a very confused verse, right? First of all, why is this confused? Didn't Aaron just bless them? Well, now it's coming with another blessing. And why is Moshe all of a sudden here? Where did Moshe get involved in this? When Aaron is the one who's being inaugurated today, right? So these are some of the things that are bothering Rashi, that now Rashi explains the following. Huh? Well, let's see Rashi. Let's see what Rashi says. And he came, Moshe and Aaron, Lama Nichnas, why did they enter? In other words, what was the point? He just blessed the people. What was the point in Moshe entering into the Oyel Mayed at this point, right? When this is the inauguration of Aaron and his sons, right? So Rashi says, I found in the Midrash about the inauguration, and a brisa that's an appendage to the Torah's kanim that we have. Why did Moshe enter with Aaron? The Midrash asks the question, right? To teach him about the procedure of burning the incense. Or perhaps, maybe for another reason. But maybe he entered for another purpose. Rashi, the Midrash is saying, right? The Rashi is quoting from the Midrash. So I can reason that he entered to teach Aaron about the incense as follows. Yerida ubia to una bracha. Both descending and coming require a blessing. Aaron descended from the altar in the previous verse, right? And there was a blessing there. And coming, Moshe and Aaron into the Mishkan, our verse also brings a blessing, right? So in other words, when you're coming and going, so to speak, it relates to a blessing. Just descending is related to the verse, to the service of the Mishkan. Afbiya, coming to, is also related, related to the service of the Mishkan. From this you learn, why did Moshe enter with Aaron? To teach him about the procedure of burning the incense. Did you catch that? Let me repeat it.
Why didn't he keep them before?
Why?
Those 7 days that he was teaching him stuff, why didn't he teach him about the incense then?
That's a very good question. Excellent question, actually. And maybe that's why there's an alternative explanation.
Okay.
Maybe. That's an excellent question, actually. Because seemingly he should have known this already, because in the 7 days, that was the whole point of the 7 days, is to ready him. So that's an excellent question. I wonder if that's the Rebbe asks that in the Sikha. I don't remember now. But here, let me explain this so you catch the point. Rashi is saying like this. In the previous verse, Aaron came down. In this verse, they're going in. So we're equating the two things, right? Coming down and going up or going into are equated. What are they equated? To do a service of the temple, of the Mishkan, right? The previous one was a service on the altar. Now they're going into the tent of meeting. So what must be first service? What's the service? So it must be the incense that he's teaching him. That's the first explanation. Got it? Davar acher, alternatively, right? Kivin shera Aaron, since Aaron saw Karavo is a carbonus, that he brought the offerings. Nasu kol ma'asim. He did all of the acts that were necessary for him in the service to perform. But lo yard the Shekhinah Israel. But the Shekhinah did not descend to the Jewish people. God's presence did not descend. Got it? Huh? Well, look at the previous verse. He blessed the people, but it doesn't say God's presence came and rested upon the people, right?
Maybe Moses.
Why you don't let Rashi unfold?
Okay.
You're trying to play Rashi. Don't play Rashi.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Not to say what you're saying is wrong.
Yeah.
But then you're not following due
I'm
process.
off by a couple of minutes.
You're not following due process. That's the point. Due process is we followed what Rashi is saying, right?
No assumptions.
So, but look at the previous verse. He blessed the people, and the Shekhinah did not come, right? So he was distressed. Va'amar, and he said, Yedei I know. Aaron is saying, right? Who's he saying? To his brother, to Moshe, right? Shikasa Kodesh Baruch Hu, that God is upset and angry with me. Bishvili lo yard Shekhinah al Israel. Because of me, the Shekhinah did not descend upon the Jewish people. Amar lo Moshe. So Moshe responded back to him, and he said, sorry. Amar lo Moshe. Yeah, he said to Moshe, Moshe Achi, Moshe, my brother, Kachasisali. This is what you've done to me. That you brought me in to do this divine service. And because of this, I'm embarrassed. the Shekhinah did not descend. I descended from the altar, right? And in my descent and blessing the people, after performing everything that was necessary to perform, what should have happened? Shekhinah should have come down, but it didn't. Miyad nichnas Moshe imay. So Moshe, upon hearing this from his brother, he entered immediately into where? The tent of meeting, a big shirachmim, and he sought mercy upon him. The Yard Shechina Israel. The Shechina came down upon the Jewish people. How do we know? Wow. Now, with this, by the way, I don't remember exactly, but remember I asked a question. If I recall correctly, this is right. It says, what does the verse say? It says, "Vayetzu." They plural. They came out. A yavai is singular. So what? Who's the singular one who went in? No. Why? To ask to plead for Aaron. So he went in first. He went in first to plead for him. Then Aaron came in because they both came out together. So, right? So the Yavai, Moshe came into the tent of meeting to plead for Aaron. And they both came out, and the Shekhinah came. Right? The glory of God appeared upon the Jewish people. Got it?
It continued to come without Moses after.
Well, again, where are you going? Why? Where's that got to do with what we're learning? Right? Let's.
I'm projecting.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and we need to stay present in the verse that we're in.
Reminding me again.
Okay, let's stay present in the verse. But you see, so do you have a good question that you asked? That, well, how come he didn't learn that in the 7 days prior? Which I'm not certain how that fits in over here, right? Because the alternative explanation, I think, is based on the singular and the plural. He went in singularly, they came out plural. He went in singular because, like, what was he doing here at all, right? This is Aaron's service because the Shekhinah didn't come, right? This second explanation, right? The first one is to teach him. Second one is to ask compassion for him. Okay, clear? David, is clear? Yeah? Somewhat? Getting there. Okay, we're all getting there. Okay. Okay, next Rashi. And they went out and they blessed the people. Amru, they said, how did they bless the people? It doesn't say what they blessed the people with again, right? Remember the previous verse, Aaron blessed? That was Birchas Kahanim. And that makes sense now because here it's not Birchas Kahanim. Why? How do we know it's not? Oh, because Moshe was there, exactly. So it wasn't Birchas Kahanim. So therefore, previously it had to be what Aaron could do, Birchas Kahanim. That's how Rashi infers. Because here's a blessing. Again, it doesn't say what the blessing is. Rashi says, what is it? May the pleasantness of the Lord our God be upon us. Anybody know where that's from? Every Shabbos we say it. Psalm 90. Psalm 90. May it be God's will that the Shekhinah should rest at the work of your hands. Because of the 7 days of the inauguration, Moshe put up the Mishkan, the Shemesh Boy, and he officiated, and he dismantled it every single day. The Shekhinah did not rest though in those 7 days prior to today. And the Israelites they felt ashamed. They said to Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe our master, all the trouble that we went to, that the Shekhinah should rest amongst us. And because the Shekhinah would rest, why was that so important to the Jewish people? Because that way they would know that we were forgiven, that we were atoned for our involvement in the sin of the golden calf. But now the Shekhinah didn't come. Therefore, he said to them, this is the thing that God commanded, you got to do. And the glory of God will appear upon you. My brother is worthier than me. He's more important to me. So in other, what's happening? Following? The Jewish people are coming to Moshe during the 7 days prior to today, right? Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Now they're feeling ashamed. We went through such an effort to give so much donation, to go and get involved and to build this, and seeking atonement from God. And obviously we didn't get atonement because the Shekhinah didn't come. So what does he answer back?
Wasn't complete.
No, my brother, he's greater than me. It's not going to come through me. It's going to come through my brother, through Aaron. That's what he answers to them. In other words, it's not coming now through these days of preparation. And he's greater, more worthier than him. Shayadei Karbon also through his offerings of Vaidas and his service, the Shekhinah is going to rest amongst you. And you will know this way that God has chosen him that he should be the Kohen Gadol. But what happened? Huh? What happened? The Shekhinah didn't come until Moshe went in and requested it, according to the alternative explanation, right?
I like the first one.
Huh?
I like the first one better.
There's no choices here.
Okay.
They're both. Rashi says both. They're both the word of God, and we have to understand both of them. That doesn't mean that we might have more of a challenge or a difficulty with one, right? In understanding it, but that's our challenge, our difficulty, right? This is not, do you like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream? Huh? But I'm saying, but you may not,
Neapolitan.
right? You may not, right? Correct?
But in this case, both options are valid.
Yeah, exactly. And in other words, we need to understand both, right? As best as we can, right?
But second one's explained better than the first.
Okay, we got a moment over here. Let's go into the Rebbe Sicha. So in this in verse here, we says, they said, Behi Noyam, right? Verse Psalm 90. May it be God's will that the Shekhinah should rest in the efforts of your hands. This is similar to Parshas Pikude that we had at the end of Shmos, of the book of Exodus, when Moshe blessed the people when they finished all of the work of the Mishkan, right? But there it's the opposite. There it says, may the will of God that the Shekhinah should rest upon the work of your hands. And only afterwards, then he said, V'hi Noyam. Here he said, you following me? Following the Rebbe Sicha? Menachem Hillel. Right? When Moshe blessed the people earlier, a few parshas ago, right? The end of the book of Exodus. He blessed them for what? Because they finished all the work for the Mishkan, right? Here it's about inauguration, right? There was finishing the work. There he said, may be God's will that the Shekhinah dwell upon you. And then he said, V'hi Noyam. Here he does it the opposite way. Okay? So obviously we need to understand why. Okay? So the Rebbe says, there it's speaking about what was done for the Mishkan, right? The wise people who worked in building the Mishkan. And in the end of that work and setting up the Mishkan, but the end of it was the work that Moshe did by erecting the Mishkan. That was through him alone, right? Therefore, Moshe starts off with the blessing for those who did the work, that it may be God's will that the Shekhinah should dwell through the efforts of their hands, right? What they did. And only afterwards, he adds the blessing of Yinoyim Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu upon all of us. In other words, he's first giving them, recognizing them, then only, right? In our parsha, on the other hand, it's speaking about the karbonis, the sacrifices, right? That is being done. That's being done through Moshe and Aaron in the days of preparation. Therefore, it begins. Therefore, Moshe and Aaron begin with the blessing of the success that is for everybody, Aleinu, which is for everyone, right? And only then he adds that through the Shekhinah should come. 1 second. Right, that the work that they did, that it should be pleasant for God upon us, and then he adds an added blessing that the Shekhinah should dwell through the efforts of Bnei Israel, through their efforts. In other words, because here it's Moshe and Aaron, so there's no one, so the focus then is on the people. When Moshe did it, the focus was on the ones who did the work, right? Here, the two of them, the focus then is on the people, and on the people, then it's what they did, and then through what they did, that the Shekhinah should rest upon all of them. All right, amazing. Okay, Tanya coming up in a few moments, folks.